What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC, live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. Wow, what a day yesterday. One for the books. I feel like I just won the Super Bowl and I get to take a minute, it's the next day. Win or lose, let's get a beer kind of day. I feel great. We really pushed the streaming scene last night. I like to push some of those other guys that used to be really good at streaming, but maybe don't stream so much. I'll be like, yeah, we're pumping, we're pushing. You better jump on our train because choo choo choo. You know how that goes, guys. Icosahedron. At this time yesterday, we had the founder on. Explosive episode, all-time high viewership. Okay. Alex with a beard and his computer and his dev talk, he gets all-time high viewership. People listen up. That's bullish. That's bullish. Guys, we have Gifford in the back. He's in makeup, okay? We're basically just going to go into it. I didn't sleep much. Nobody slept much. I drank a little bit of alcohol and I made some plays on my computer. Nothing crazy, guys. Remember, this isn't extremely time sensitive, in my opinion. The most time sensitive portion of this is the 14 days for the WADSA. So you know me, I like to bring it back to reality for a second. 14 days. Everybody take a chill pill if you're really stressed out, because I know how you can feel that FOMO. Take it off get that FOMO out of your life. It's just, it's not real. Look at the numbers, look at the dates, and pay attention, and you will succeed. Okay, let's get into this. We got Sam, we got Giphy. We're going to try to keep this somewhat understandable, but from every stream on this topic, I've learned that in order to explain it in nuance, it's just kind of confusing. So, guys, DeFi Proof, the greatest DeFi rapper in the history of cryptocurrencies.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking no blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedron, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready to send me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning, 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 crypto in the morning.
Before you start talking, did Trayvon really say he would to hit him up if you see you? If that's true, can you please DM me, please? Because I want to stream with Trayvon. That would be lit. Thank you, Sam. This is my partner and best friend, Sam Stolt.
What's up? How you doing, brother? Love to have you on. Like meeting new people and learning from people who have different perspectives. Like yesterday,
I feel like we're friends now that we streamed
every day. We're talking to each other.
No, 2 times yesterday felt like we were real friends.
Yes. Hey, we can't do that every day, but I would.
Dude, imagine a world where you're live every single day and people feel like they can't reach you. That's like the few, think. You know what I'm saying though? Like back in the day, you couldn't reach anyone about shit.
I want to add a link in my link tree, and it just says like book a call or something, because
please do that.
I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna book you a fucking receipt for me having to show people to your fucking cell phone. Literally, there's a premium. Like I deserve. No, I'm just kidding. No, literally, like direct people to like give you money because they're like, how do I talk to the big boy?
And I'm not even trying to be like.
No, I know you're just a busy guy, guys. That's how it works. That's why it doesn't matter, guys. Icosahedron. I've been on it since day one. I've been paying attention, learning. This is what we all should be doing. Gifford is top of the class. Okay, let's get him on here and let's just start spitting shit.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Giffy.
How you doing? That was a lot of fun yesterday. Thanks for coming on. It was great meeting you for the first time yesterday. I enjoyed our conversation talking about LP and everything. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me on again. Like this is a blast, man. I love doing this.
Yes, this is fantastic. What did you think of the Icosa Hedron launch, the whole thing? Like there was so much excitement, so much. I've got actually a call later today with Monica because we're gonna actually be chatting about it. But what did you think of this whole thing that's happening? If you guys have questions, let us know in the comments too.
I mean, there's always that moment where you like hold your breath, right? You're like just hoping everything comes out smoothly, and all you can do is just sit back and watch the master at it. Alex just plugging away, getting everything set up, and because there's a lot of motions you have to go through after that launch date, right? There's a lot of things you got to do on the back end. So waiting for all that to come through, waiting for those first Icosa transactions to happen, it was awesome, man. It's like you sit around and you talk and you game theorize and you do all this stuff for months on end. And then when it finally comes out, it's awesome to see it all in fruition.
Why are you doing this, Giffy? Like, why are you such a nerd? Like, how did you get involved with all this? Like, I'm serious. Like, it's a rare breed, dude. We're all up at night drinking wine, looking at fucking charts.
We're kind of listen.
We're all cut from the same cloth to a degree. So I'm almost like, I'm weird. How did you get your weird? Like, how did you get so into this community? It's a deep community, like it doesn't just happen overnight. Did you start? Well, you could talk about your experience with Hex, but like, how did you get involved so intimately to the point where you're like, I mean, come on, we're all having a good time paying attention real close.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a long road, it's a long road from growing up as kind of like a gamer, right? And then you kind of hear about this magic internet money and you start going down that rabbit hole. It's like, oh, that's not going to work. Like, there's no way that could work. And then you just keep learning and learning. You're like, oh, wait, this can work, right? And then it wasn't until, I was in deep in Bitcoin and Litecoin that I found Richard Hart and then just fell in love with the community because it's an educational community. I've been saying this from day one. It's completely different from any other crypto community you could find. Like, you go out here in the Hex community and people will teach you. They will. And that's amazing. And so I watched all the old school OG Hexicans, from the early days. And, I've had a chance to talk to a couple of the big guys, and dude, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. So, I mean, what keeps me going is it's like, yeah, I'm in it for the gains, but the tech is it keeps me nerding out every day. Like, I can nerd out on the tech. And then, if you do it right, sometimes you get paid off. Right.
And it's also fun to be part of a community, right? I'm in several different types of communities, and there's not always that, trying to seek more, learn. Yeah. And everybody's trying to get better, where sometimes you're in communities, but it's more like what
can you get by yourself? Like, it's like you can, but like, I need Bullish and Sam, and it's not for anything in particular. It's like,
we enjoy it.
I need people. Like, I can't enjoy it that hard without people. And what am I going to do? Talk about my findings on Cardano with my cat? Like I want to talk to my friends about it. And you find friends that have similar interests in you. And I have interest in Money Printer go.
So let's get into Giffy. You want to just, if there's any, I think everybody probably knows.
Yeah, we kind of, guys, for anyone that doesn't know, we can't even do a normal show, like totally normal, because last night was like
awesome.
And I'm saying this is a great show, but I'm not even going to pretend like I'm structuring this shit for a second today. And I'm going on, at some point Funding Jim is going to come on, and I don't know if it's after the hour or before the hour, but he said he had a couple updates that he wanted. I said, come on in, let's talk about it. But let's start here. Let me just start here. What moves did you guys make? How about we go there? You guys opened the app just like every other dork with the Hedron.pro. All right. And what was your idea of how you, in your specific situation, was going to try to get a piece of this pie?
Giffy, go ahead. I want to hear.
So for me, I sat on my hands because there's literally nothing to do until 0 UTC time, till just before, right? So you get to sit back and watch the market play. You watch it play out. You see the LPs coming in. Now, if there was a play, there's some good plays in LPs for sure. But I've got other plans, and so I'm watching the pools. I'm watching how they're filling up. I'm watching the price action, and I've got a rough game plan, but I'm not pulling any triggers until it gets closer to the 0 UTC time, because it doesn't matter if you enter the pool last night or if you enter it 5 minutes before the end of the day. Like, you still get allotted that set amount of pool points. The only difference is you kind of have a picture of where the activity is happening and where maybe the best plays might be.
Now, is that something in your life that I just need to know this, because this is a big confusing point. You're a smart guy. You're playing with internet money. How much do you want to tell everyone what the fuck you're doing? In your mind, like, how much does that come into play? Because guys, like, yeah, you're coming on my stream, you're doing this, but you're not dedicating your life to telling every single person. You'd like to tell as many people as are willing to listen, but you also understand that there's some serious game theory here that you can take advantage of.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm not eager to go out and tell everybody what moves I'm gonna play, right? But if anybody is like talking about it, then I jump in on a conversation. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm thinking, right? So I let the community come out first, and if they spot something, like the arbitrage got spotted very early, right? It got very early in the game theory. The arbitrage in that price point came out, so I just ran with it at that point. I was like, yeah, this is what I've seen. You know, let's compare notes, et cetera, because I'm not trying to hide anything from anybody. But at the same time, I'm not going to try to explain some of the more technical stuff that I'm looking at doing, right? If nobody else is looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, me and Sam are looking at it. So
feel free. Nobody's actually watching this. You can just share it with us if you're.
Oh, really? Okay, great.
No, I wanted to know just you can say this in like nerd ease if you want to get past some of the people. But what you've looked at the charts, you've seen the pools, you've seen what's going on. In your opinion, in your eyes, what are some of those broad things that you're seeing that maybe surprised you? Maybe you didn't notice. Maybe you were right on.
Oh, let me pull a couple things up, man. So let's start with
you guys are
dead
nuts on the price though of Icosa.
I was gonna pull that. Well, you pulled up the stuff, Giffy. Let me know. I'm gonna try to see if I can find it.
You know what, Sam? Whatever you can pull up. Like I said earlier, I'm just not prepared to pull something up right now. I've got too much going on.
And if you drop a link too, Bullish will pull it up.
Okay.
If he's available.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, just a quick transition. How about I run the promo? I have not ran the promo in a while, and it's coming up quick, guys. I do want to run this golf promo, guys. I will be in Vegas, like for real. Like, I'm going to Vegas. There's a golf tournament going on. GRC in the flesh. You guys don't think I have good times and friends? Well, yes, I do, because I'll be in Vegas with good times and friends and shaking hands, having a couple brewskis. I think marijuana joints are legal down there. And I'm excited about all these. Did you hear Revolt is going to be? And I'm not saying I like Revolt or whatever. I haven't even looked into it in a while, but I like to see other people moving and jiving. I like movement. The only thing that's bad in crypto is no movement. You need movement. You know what I mean? And I like to see Revolt, other people, everyone at the golf tournament. We're going to be partying, having a good time. If you're not there, you're square. KSB.TV presents the Pulse Masters Golf Tournament. We have 2 shotgun times, 7:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Registration is 1 hour prior. The Concord course offers a 7,034-yard par 72 layout with Bermuda fairways and large greens. The spectator pass is $55. The individual golfer is $195. In the golf foursome, $750. Play Golf Network with others and win crypto prizes. September 5th, 2022. Contact us at ksbtv/golf. Yes, it's KSBTV/golf, baby.
Okay, so I was just pulling up the contract address here. There's been the token went from $0. It has been 15 hours from $0 to 20 million bucks. Think about that for a second.
Wait, how much money do I got? How much does ICOSA cost?
I still am trying to figure out how to I can see the pools, but I cannot.
I guess it's just a calculation until it's on the front.
It's $1.90 right now, or $1.87.
Thank you.
Oh, life's good. Life's good.
$1.87. That's right from $0 to $20 million. This one person created like that by adding just some creativity, some resourcefulness to this. That's incredible. And I'm looking at the info on Uniswap if anybody wants to check that out. There are transactions happening every several minutes across from swapping, like the last several here I can pull up really quickly if anybody's curious to check this kind of stuff. I find this stuff interesting. Hopefully somebody else finds this stuff interesting. You get to see what's actually taking place on Uniswap. Oops, sorry. So this is, if you go to, I think it's info.uniswap or something like that, info.uniswap.org. These are all the transactions that are happening like 7 minutes ago.
All right. So every transaction, guys, you're hearing it correctly. Within the ICOSA pool is on Uniswap. So people are already on Uniswap buying the shit?
Yes.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I didn't even think of, I'm sorry. God, there's so many things that you can forget to think about while you're going. I didn't even think about buying it yet on Uniswap personally, because I guess it was last night. What did you think about what was going on Uniswap? Is this a good sign as far as you see it? Giffy, you too. What were you thinking as far as the Uniswap? How long would it take for people's action to start? I mean, there wasn't that many, but.
Well, I started watching as soon as the first trade started out, when the first LP hit the market. And I don't know every trader's personal position, right? I don't know exactly what they're trying to do. All I could tell is I could look at what they were swapping and what they were swapping for and what it cost them. And it was constant carnage. Like, these traders were losing their butts. And there's still a lot of those swaps that was an interesting pair. The ETH and ICOSA is an interesting pair, because if you're arbitraging, you're going in and out a bunch, you got to make sure you never run out of gas. So why not use Ethereum, right? Because then you're always going to have some Ethereum to keep arbitraging. And they're doing it right now. You just showed some arbitragers going at it right there, but they're losing on the trade. So it's fascinating.
Can you talk about, because we've talked about the arbitrage, but there's going to be people who are listening right now who don't know about the arbitrage thing with, ICOSA and selling your shit. And can you talk about that just to give people a better idea?
Yeah. So basically what I'm seeing is they start with their HSI. So they create the HSI stake. They sell it to the contract using the app.icosa.pro, right? They sell it there. They get their ICOSA. And then they're swapping that ICOSA for ETH, and then swapping the ETH back into ICOSA again, and just trying to trade it back and forth. But if they come out ahead, so if they're able to actually make a slight profit on it, then they'll buy the hex back and they'll recreate the HSI, and then they'll sell it on market again. And they keep trying to do it. And you see it, they got slammed down hard in the first couple minutes there. You'll see that pump up and then kind of crash down as the arbitragers got on top of that. But the unfortunate part is there was such thin liquidity there that they were just eating the slippage the whole way. So I mean, the arbitragers did not make a whole lot of money on this run, as far as
it's too close to value. Yeah, you gotta come on. You need to come on, guys. Come on. I mean, look how tight it is once it found its spot too. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that much movement. This is the calculations everyone was coming up with yesterday. This is not rocket science. Clearly, I'm not saying it's not complicated as fuck, but look at this. So here we have the pool activity. 16 minutes ago, we have 1,698 USDC for 500 ICOSA, 6,308 hex for 341 ICOSA. And 2 hours ago, we have, and this one is interesting because it has a little chicken next to it. And the chicken says, during the last 30 days, this liquidity provider continuously has had 10K to 100K locked inside of different liquidity pools across all supported chains, making you know that there's some sort of liquidity provider in general. During the last 30 days, this liquidity provider continuously has had $100,000 to $500,000 locked inside of different liquidity pools across all supported chains, guys. So there's a lot of people that do a lot of action that are, how many have there been so far?
Well, those are the people who are setting shit up. Right? Those are the fellas. Those are going to be the guys and girls who are actually setting up the LP positions. Giphy, is there a floor underneath that's going to support this?
Yes.
What do you think that is?
And you hinted at it, and I'm not sure if you knew that, but earlier when you pulled up the contract address and you said there was $20 million in there, did you look and see what token that was?
I can do that right now. But go ahead and finish talking.
So it's Hedron. So that Hedron, where that's coming from, is people selling those HSIs. Those HSIs getting borrowed upon. So they borrow the Hedron in that HSI and they put it in the contract address. All of that Hedron in there, which is like 8 trillion, right? So it's like a lot of money, 20 million bucks.
Oh, wait. So I'm sorry. So you're saying the borrowed Hedron market value sitting in ICOSA contract is
the 20 million. Mm-hmm. And all of that is going into the ICOSA staking pool tomorrow.
Can you do that one more time?
So
just for the top, I know what you're saying, but I want to know just a little bit better.
Simple.
Just because I'm a little confused.
Yes.
But you're saying that this is bullish, and I want to keep thinking about what you're saying.
So like, started out 0 ICOSA. The only way to get is to sell your HSI. What happens when you sell that HSI? The contract will give you ICOSA in return. It takes the HSI, it borrows against it. And what it's borrowing is all the Hedron, all the borrowable Hedron in the HSI. All of that borrowed Hedron goes into the contract address and waits there till the next day in order to pay out the ICOSA stakers. So if you're staked in the ICOSA pool, that's the only pool where you can earn Hedron. And that's where that Hedron yield comes from. So if you're thinking, oh, well, people are just going to arb it down, like there's some sort of ceiling, but there's no floor. It's like, well, there is though. Like if you want any of that yield, you have to buy the ICOSA. And if the price is down, then it's cheaper to buy the ICOSA than it is to sell the contract, right?
That's a big added step to like going through, like you have to completely support that by doing the actual action. You know,
it's wild.
It's so crazy because we know how hard it is to get people to click around in crypto too. Like it's not easy to get people to click around. How many people are not fucking with ICOSA because it's 4 more clicks for their brain to learn?
But look what you could do right here. Just average person. Buy some ICOSA, stake it.
Yeah. And then you earn more ICOSA.
If you're in here and you take that advice and you are not an absolute nerd, like you're a unicorn because those people.
I want to just do a quick intermission here so I can go buy some ICOSA.
Hey Sam, you have till the end of the day. Yeah, I mean it all goes in at the same time.
Okay. So I have until 8
just like X lock. It kind of like at some point it like registers for the day, but I can't remember the exact time.
I will be doing this later today, so you guys should just sell your shit, drive the price down, so it's easier for me to.
I have my ICOSA bags locked and loaded on one of my things, so I'm happy as a clam, and I have some Hedron staked, and I'm good to go. I haven't done the Watsa though, because I gotta.
That ICOSA staking pool has only got like what 19 billion points in it compared to the Hedron staking pool that's got like 34,000 trillion points. So it's like it's very competitive staking pool.
So you said 8 trillion. I didn't check this. I think I checked it first thing in the morning, but I haven't checked it since then. Yeah. The amount of Hedron that has been locked in the
contract.
Hedron, but this is not the Hedron staking. This is in the advances against the HSIs.
Yeah, this is the ICOSA contract that is holding the Hedron.
8 trillion. So I'm just doing the math here. So 8 followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? 8. Where's that? Billion. That's billion. 1, 2, 3. One more. 12 zeros times 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 2, I think it is, or something. That's around 60 million. Damn. Okay. That's cool. I didn't actually do the math on that. I know that's slightly off because they only put one.
Sam, what does that make you feel like about all this? Just because you like LP, you see these staking metrics. This is a single-sided staking play. What do you see? Where's the value in your mind for you in particular?
Well, so this for me is super exciting because what Giffy brought up, I hadn't really put the thought into that specifically. But what he's saying is that there's effectively a floor underneath this. So you're not going to see as much volatility. So if you take out a floor, or if you take out the volatility on the upside, you get less volatility. So this thing is going to have less volatility. Right? So if somebody wants less volatility, this is going to do it. And the reason it's going to have less volatility is because if I was like, hey, I have this mason jar and there is $10,000 in here. You can clearly see there's $10,000 in there. You know it's sitting in like the bank, right? And like this, and it's got $10,000 inside. How much do you think this is going to sell for? Do you think it's ever going to sell for less than $10,000? Because everybody can literally see that there's $10,000 in here. And that is what GIFFwear was pointing out, is that the contract for ICOSA has $20 million sitting in this jar that everybody gets to see. So the price should never, it could hypothetically, but if it does, just like what you did with Maxi, when you bought it for less than one, GRC bought Maxi for less than 1 for 1. So when he did that, he took, say whatever hypothetically he took, say 1,000 hex, and now he's got 1,100 Maxi, and then you get like a 78 or 80% increase in the Maxi price, right? Because we saw that, we all watched that fucking play out.
And then you get speculative bonus points for all of this shit, because I already have emotional feelings toward my ICOSA bags. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it, and I don't know why sometimes. Like, sometimes it's not always about the number, but like, remember, these things get talked about, and just that's from just the metric standpoint. Most cryptos stay up on fluff and tweets, and this is, we're talking about this thing sticking if we all backed off and didn't fucking say a word about it. That's what we're kind of mentioning. This is all icing on the cake that we had 800 live viewers last night, that the Telegram's pumping, that this is all, we're just trying to educate and really let people know what's going on, because this is insider trading. This is what everyone's been doing to you your whole life, all of us. And we're finally at the point where it's like, man, we're a step ahead. It's like, thank God. You can kind of like pat yourself a little bit. You're like, I made it to this intellectual point where I'm like, oh, I finally figured out all the bullshit, and I made it to the point where I can read the real papers from the real people. I get to talk to them every single day. We can push this thing forward together. It has a little momentum like that too. I always feel that kind of, that rah momentum on coins too, a little.
What's the rah, the upside? Let's talk about the upside. GIFFwear, talk to us about the upside. How could this move forward? What are some things that could help drive the price of ICOSA up? Right, because we understand there's a floor there. We understand that there's a threshold. Like, if you're going to buy a company that has $10 million of cash in the bank and they don't have any liabilities against that 10 million, you're like, okay, well, the minimum price I'm going to be able to buy this for is $10 million, right? Because it's $10 million cash, right? We understand that. But now the upside, where is that? What are some of the things that we're not seeing, we're not talking about, or that are possibilities?
In those terms, then I would say, a big picture, right? The whole point of the whole ICOSA ecosystem has more or less two objectives: to pump hex and pump hedron. So if it's designed to pump hex, how is it doing that? It's doing it through the liquidity pair, and then it's tied to the T-share, right? We know the T-share keeps going up, so that this theoretical like arbitrage ceiling that we see on ICOSA right now is not static. It will move, and it will move violently some days. If hex starts pumping, ICOSA ceiling starts pumping. And so and you can see it already that they're very closely tied in the liquidity pool. So they're going to play off each other in that sense too.
You can't imagine in reality they're not, because if you just know the movements of a lot of these guys, it's like if they make a fat load of hex gains in one day, let's say a 50%, 100%, they love scraping a little bit of che off that and going somewhere else. And we see that. I was telling everyone last night, I know all the plebs are selling their hedron for hex stakes and doing the ICOSA thing, because you could just watch it. You could see it happening. That's all the liquid funds they had. All these assets are a lot of the times kind of traded within themselves, because it's where people get their extra money from. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It seems like a good thing.
The whole interplay between like hedron, ICOSA, hedron, and hex is fascinating, right? That's super fascinating. There's never really been an incentive or reason to hold hedron until now. And we've seen, right? We saw a lot of people fucking dumping that shit for quite a while. And now there's an actual reason to hold Hedron.
But Alex had the idea the whole time, just to be fair on his front. He separated them, got those whales out. He said he wrote this down all before, and to a degree in his mind, whether it was on paper or in his mind or on his computer. He said he made these two things, and he's a smart guy. I mean, if you talk to him for a while, you start to catch a beat on him. You're like, Jesus, this guy really moves.
And he gave us enough information too.
A lot.
Like when Hedron came out, I was pumped about it because he gave you the tech with the wrap stakes, right? He gave you this new idea of things going to auction, like HSIs, like hex stakes going to auction you can bid on. He gave you the information of what disinflation looks like, where it just gets harder and harder to mint over time. Like he gave you the bare bones basics.
How long would it have taken me to get to this point if Alex was not such a fair whatever? He could have done whatever he wanted to be a little sketchy about this. You can be a little sketchy on shit. Trust me, everyone does it a little bit. But some people go all the way in and they say, fuck it. Like, let's do this. Hex was amazing. Let's build on it. Let's teach the people, to the point where guys like me can intimately learn these details. Even guys like GIFFwear probably gave him a fucking head start and a half, that Alex was so transparent with some of these topics that we wouldn't have even been able to think about. That's the hard part. It's like you can't get to these topics unless there's someone there at some point who has learned about it. And like Sam punches through that a lot of the time because he's willing to do a lot of that dirty work really fast. But for a lot of people, they don't do much. They just do lots of chit chat.
Oh, dude, 100%. A lot of tweeting.
Yes. Yes.
When I think about the ICOSA and now it's creating an incentive for Hedron, I personally think this is far more bullish for Hedron, which then there's the trickle effect that nobody's going to talk about related to Hex. But let's first start with the Hedron piece. There wasn't, as we just talked about, there was no reason to hold Hedron really, other than like you speculate that some date in the future there might be an opportunity if somebody doesn't maybe know what they're doing and they want to borrow $3 against $1,000 and then they don't pay attention and the shit fucking goes up for liquidation, right? Like that was the kind of the idea to hold it, right? Well, now we have two reasons to hold it, because you can take your Hedron and stake that to earn more Hedron. Plus, now with the advance on the Hedron side of things, the number of HSIs going up for liquidation is going to spike drastically. How do you pay for those with Hedron? And if you think about the amount you advance versus how much you pay, people don't put this together because it's a subtle nuance, right? But you can take, for example, and these numbers are just, what I'm saying here, but in reality, they're going to be different. $1,000 gets you $3 as an advance. So that means you take $1,000 hex stake and you pull out $3 worth of Hedron. You're like, why the fuck did we do that, right? Well, that's effectively what's happening when they take their HSI, sell it to ICOSA to pull out whatever they're getting, hopefully about $1,000. Now, when you take this and it goes 90 days later and it goes up for auction, how much is it going to sell for? It's going to sell for close to market value, if not market value. So if this is $1,000 in 90 days, maybe it's $1,200, maybe it's $14,000, maybe it's $24,000. I don't know. But when this sells for that price, whatever that price is, now they need $1,000 worth of Hedron to buy that, that means that in a very short period of time, or lumpy periods of time throughout the year, depending on how it actually comes out, Hedron is going to be deflationary, assuming there's any usage of ICOSA, right? Like you have these two giant reasons to actually hold Hedron now, and it's still not even. I personally think, even though we've had a run up in the last 24 hours, we've had a sell-off, I still think it's undervalued personally, because of these things. Like, where's this going to play out?
A little bit. I think it's teetering towards the bottom. Like, I think I don't think you can arb it. Like the premium's kind of like, it's still close, but like I still think it's like just a little deflated still, just a little. But again, that can play out over long periods of time for a lot of different reasons too. And can't they build on ICOSA and shit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
dude, it's over,
think
bro.
about this though.
It's over, bro. Like it's
That-
like imagine when these kids are coming out with meme coins that are just only on Arcosa, and like it's like you people. And I always mention how far people can get detached from the actual product, and you almost hope in a product like people do get detached to it from a degree, because mass adoption means you're getting a lot of people. What do we know about a lot of people? They don't read instructions, and they don't give a shit about instructions, and they don't really care about anything that you're talking about. They just want to know what to do and how to do it and where are the good times and memes. So it's crazy to think like how these things can sometimes, like, what if this all takes on a life of its own? What if we're that early? What if this is the reserve? Like, you have to be able to think like this way so you can allow that to happen if that's what's supposed to happen.
I think personally that there is the opportunity with Hedron right now, given what we see with Icosa and how this is all playing out. It's still fucking early, right? But there is a massive opportunity with the Hedron. In that example where you borrow $3 versus you're gonna have to pay Hedron at $1,000, that's a 330x increase. Think about this for a second. So you're inflating the supply by, let's just call it 300% or 3%, I'm sorry. And then you're decreasing the supply 90 days later by 330x what you just did. People are not fucking thinking about this shit. In 90 days, there's going to be a boatload, a massive shit ton of technical terms here, but like that's literally what it is.
Yeah, no, you know the crazy thing is somehow Alex was able to put a token out there that everyone was like, oh, this is an infinite supply, right? It's just like forever just gonna dump. And then you turn around, if you stop paying attention, you turn around, you're like, wait a minute, this could be one of the most scarce tokens I can get my hands on right now. Isn't that wild that he's able to do that? Like, that is just wild. And yeah, like what you were leading up to, or what you were inferring on the markets. When we see those markets come, and I've said it a couple times on stream, like it seems very unlikely we don't see some sort of supply shock in Hedron. Like all of a sudden, especially when you look at the liquidity pools, there still isn't a lot of Hedron on there to be had. Not in the grand scheme of things, not compared to how much got dumped.
People see that number and it plays big tricks on their big brains. You know? I'm so sick of it. It's like, dude, read between the lines a little bit. You don't even have to read all the way between the lines. Like, you got a genius over here. You got a bunch of geniuses in the Telegram. You got a bunch of everyone going crazy about this free launch, which was given away fairly, properly, executed perfectly, beautifully. I got my coins. I had no issue. I was a noob at the time. I was 10x all my hex stakes on my Hedron stuff. I was excited, you know what I mean? Pumped up. And I was telling people, just like I am now, I was on fucking Joker's fucking channel that doesn't even exist anymore. And I was fucking telling people, like, this is cool. I don't know what it is, but we're getting free coins and it seems legit. I don't care if it's $13, $100. And then they were telling me it was tied to the B share. And I was like, holy shit, what the, you know what I mean? So from day one, like, this information has been out here. You just have to be in the position to scoop it by be in the telegrams with guys like GIFF. Watch shows like this. Watch Cryptographics. Watch Sloth. Don't watch the guys that want to be popular because of some imaginary thing that does not exist. Like, it's just, you don't. If you're just like, oh, wait, why is this guy talking again? And you read his resume and he's selling you something or telling you something that is like I made this. This is on me. I did all this work. I'm not sitting here telling you I did nothing except study and try to be open-minded. And that's why I think this channel is going to be successful, because I think we're getting down to the crux of it. And some of these community leaders, you, Giphy, Silver, the Antidote, these guys are speaking out slowly but surely. And like, they like some of us young guys because they're like, oh, cool. Some of these guys are like truthfully trying to learn or whatever.
Yeah. Gifford, and that was nicely said, GFC. Completely agree with you. Like, there's more people just in life in general, but like, they want to take from others instead of help other people. And and it's a weird like twist, but like the more you help people, the more that comes back. But versus when you try to take from people, like you try to take shit from me, I'm gonna fucking pound you, right? But if you try to help me, I'm gonna give you back way more than you try to take, right? Like it's just how life works. But you can't do it with the expectation of getting shit back, and it's a twisted twist because that's not how society tells you. It's not what movies tell you. It's not what all the fucking garbage everybody says to you. But that's how real life actually works. Gifford, you had talked about the limited liquidity with Hedron. Do you see that changing? Why do you think it's so limited? It is limited. Like the other day, like obviously in the run up, you were going to spend $500 and you get a 1% slippage. Like that's no liquidity at all. So can you talk about that? Like why is it so limited?
It's just on the liquidity pooling, right? Where you have both sides of the token in there. As the one token runs in one direction, right? That's basically the token that is running is the one the LPs run out of, right? That they exit the pools because people are trading their token, they're taking Hedron, they're taking it off. It's not like they're leaving it in the pool, right? So as the run up happens, that token becomes more and more scarce unless new LP providers come in or the current ones add to their LP position.
But relative to the total supply, why do you think there's not more LP? Right, because the total supply of Hedron is pretty substantial, and why isn't there more? Do you think it's just the price is so low? The value prop of what Icosa has ironed on to this is not fully
also the whales. How much of that? I know there's only a few whales, but like, what is the percentage, if you know, of those top holders that have no movement or maybe just claimed? Or because I hear a lot of the whales haven't done much other than just stay put and do the right thing. The
Hedron whales?
Yeah, but I'm not sure about that. So please.
No, they haven't sold it. They haven't really. I haven't seen them sell anything since.
So what? How much of the portion is that in general? Is kind of what I mean. Like
it's pretty large. It's pretty large. There's not a whole lot of Hedron whales. There just isn't. Because you have to assume that a vast majority is going to be the SA. Another vast majority is going to be like OA and daughter wallets and that sort of thing that have claimed and have minted. And some of them have provided liquidity. That's some of the liquidity you see in the Hex Hedron pair, right? But altogether, like big picture, like a lot of these whales that have provided liquidity in the past, maybe they really, when you're dealing with big numbers, right? Like real big numbers, and one token runs away from you like a pump like Hex did, they start to really feel that pinch of that impermanent loss. They really feel it a lot more than when we're just playing with little small amounts here and there and we're using risk management, and it's a different scenario. Like liquidity providers will play their game based on their bags. And I don't think they're as willing to really eat a whole lot of that impermanent loss currently. And they see that, you know, if they put a large amount of Hedron in, that they could very well walk out with not very much Hedron left. So I think it's just, we have to wait and see if anybody else comes in. Like that's the beauty about LP, and is that those pools can change at any given second. Any given second, everything I said could be invalidated, right? So
becoming a squid, when there were 7 zeros, I remember we were doing that math at the time, and everyone was excited because it was so pennies on the dollar to have a position that was much larger than most of our positions in Hex at the moment. And that's what we were all excited about. Let's be honest. We wanted to have a bigger portion of the pie. And that was attainable for like $3,000 or $4,000 at the time, you know, to be a squid in the ecosystem when it was 7 zeros. Now I have no idea what it is now comparatively. So I think, you know, there's not as much action. There's not as many people there. Like there's newer guys that don't know what's going on with bags of Hedron that are excited about the future. Like there is a little premium, like guys like Crypto Slot, like we're teaching people about providing liquidity in the Hex ecosystem for the first time, and they're rich. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you're still working your job. And I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Because with some people that are so rich, I mean, I'm not talking, that was probably not the right thing to say. Do whatever you want with your fucking job. But you know what I mean? People are like, oh, and then there's this other dynamic where like you provide liquidity providing, and then all the dudes with the Lambos are like, dude, shut up, stop telling everyone my shit. Like literally, it feels like that. I feel that weird energy when there's some guys in the room and they're like, hold on, that's like alpha, dude, like chill out for a sec. And I'm like, I'm not making, I was just talking about it, you know. So what do you think about that whole thing? Like, how early are we? How but early are we? Like, is this so early that people are still trying to figure out how to provide LP with their assets?
The LP inside of things, or just the
But just
ecosystem?
that fact, like that's like almost an indicator to me.
Right.
Like it's an indicator, like why aren't these guys getting this free revenue with 10% of their bags that they're not staking anyway? That's over, and they're saying you have to be a whale. I need $150 million to provide liquidity successfully. That is almost the dumbest thing that anyone could ever say, because really the numbers are very low. It's like $7 grand, and you're making pretty ridiculous gains.
Okay, I'll give you my quick just TLDR on LPing in general, and then I'll tell you about the overall market. Like the first TLDR is that you will not learn how to do liquidity providing unless you actually do it. And the key to anything is risk management. You have to manage your risk. You have to be willing for that to go to zero before you actually do it. And then you go in, if you agree to that, I set this aside, this is my risk management, and you go in and do it, you will learn a ton. Especially if you don't just put it in there and forget about it. You got to track numbers. Pull up an Excel spreadsheet, track your numbers, make sure you know all the dollars coming in and coming out of your LP position, right? It's important. Now, in general, how early are we? We're incredibly early. People still have no idea that financial NFTs exist. Like, I mean, it's bonkers. Like, people are like, "Where's my picture with my Watsa NFT?" It's like, wait, no, I mean, that's not the point. So it's like we're incredibly early, and the nuclear reactor, as RG3 said, of Hex and the T-share system is what makes all this possible. And this is just the early dawn of days of what we're going to see going forward in crypto. Like this next kind of bull cycle that we see just in general, whenever that may come, is going to be absolutely insane because everybody's going to be talking about it, and it's going to be complete exposure.
And I just think for the people that are around the same spot as me, because I could feel them, and I so just remember, guys, don't be fooled. You don't have to put every fucking penny you have into every asset. That's not everyone's game. That's not everyone's life. Yes, there are people that do that, and yes, there's people that are qualified to do that, frankly. But just you're not that guy. Probably, I'm really not that guy either. I'm learning, but I'm not that guy. Remember, a little goes a long way. They want to make it seem like if you don't have 100 million Hex and you DCA every single week, your life's going to be over. Get some stakes out there. Learn about these processes. Get in ICOSA. Maybe drop a little stake in there. Learn about what's going on, because I promise you, the second those guys get the money, their learner turns off. And it's not everyone. It's just how people are. I'm the same way. As soon as I started getting, dates with girls, I didn't care about dating so much. It's just like, it's kind of just how life is. And I just want to remind people, get to know what's going on, because that is really where a lot of the value lies, because not many people know what's going on. So a little goes a long way if you're moving it correctly and you're being very patient and you're practicing emotional fitness. You have to be emotionally fit when you're going through this. There is nothing in Gifford's wallet that's going to make him want to just the risk on asset portion of this. It's just where you have to be certain that this is risk on. I'm playing this. I'm learning it hard, but just be safe. But just learn. Learning is free. Testnets are free, and nobody takes advantage of them. But you can. You're allowed to.
So it's such an exciting time, bro. Like this is such an exciting time.
No, that was a lot of important information you just said, GRC. Absolutely. Like going through my whole crypto journey, there was never a point where if my portfolio went to zero and the whole thing came crashing down, where I wouldn't be okay. Like that is always got to be the number one priority. You have everybody I've ever brought into crypto, I tell them on day one, you have to be prepared for all this to go to zero. It's a miracle it all even works. It really is, especially when you can't code and you're not the dev. It's like, how does this even work? Even a lot of the devs are like, it's wild. It's wild. So you have to have your risk management as your forefront in your mind at all times.
And that's on multiple fronts too, right? Because you have like, hey, your physical security, but also like it's possible like your physical security could be perfectly fine and just shit hits the bed. Like it just goes bananas. And
you have to be really aware all the time. Like I don't care if it's like locking your house up if you live in a sketchy neighborhood. Like it's all connected in a way. if you're either focused up or you're either being intentful with your movement or you're being non-intentful. You're letting life kind of move you, or you're moving. You got to decide, you know what, something could happen to me. Maybe I should buy a car that's a little bigger for the family, because what if something happens in a car crash and I would rather have a ginormous vehicle or whatever, like just stuff like that. If you think a little bit early about a lot of these things, bodybuilders are very good at this because they have a goal in mind, and it's very far away in the future, and they don't even want it to be. They know how long it's going to take. When you start bodybuilding, you're not under the impression it's going to happen in a year. If you really start, you're like, this is going to be 5, 6, 7 years, and you're excited the whole way through. Crypto is exactly the same. Richard nails it when he says delayed gratification is the financial asset we're dealing with. You have to click a few buttons to get there, but then it's just a waiting and a learning game. And it is a little disgusting. A lot that goes on. Let's be honest. It's not like super glamorous. There's a lot of people making money on a lot of people losing money with no money. But at the same time, we have the ability now where we are the VCs. I am my own bank. I do not interact with my bank hardly. I mean, I've never been there. So it's like I'm my own bank. I have financial sovereignty. I can look into these things, and you have to act like that. Like there's no one that's going to tell me. Giffy's not going to wake me up in the morning and say, make sure your security's tight. It's like, that's on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just on me. Like if I got hacked literally live and I fucking took it in the face and I never made the mistake again in a world where, like it was 40 grand at the time and I had nothing. Like it's all gone. And, I never let it stop me for 1 second, never even close. And it never slowed me down. I just DCA'd the same way, and I just kept moving forward. And I said, I needed that L. I said, I needed that fucking L, dude. I needed it so bad.
That's cheaper than any degree I ever got. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably the most important lesson you could ever get. Like, before crypto, I was all about the legacy markets. Like I was a trader and I traded a lot, and I paid for it in like my education was my bad moves. Like every time I made a bad move, that was my education. Every time that I missed a move, that was my education, right? And you could learn it from others, but it's very hard to do that. It's very hard to learn what not to do from others. Sometimes you just have to experience the suck.
It's like,
and that will teach you.
Yeah, but you kind of know it when you get older too. So you kind of wait on it a little bit too. Like everyone has blind spots, but you don't have to get uber wrecked. You just like,
no, you don't have to. Yeah.
No, you can just be like, oh, I see how these things move. Oh, I wasn't the first to that play. Oh, I see. They're all laughing at me because I bought the news. Oh, I see. You can learn slowly there's never a point where my USDC bag is zero. I don't know if it'll be USDC forever, to be honest, but it always has something. I always have something. When Icosa comes out, I have something. I don't need to recreate a whale position in everything that I do because I'm learning, I don't know.
So I have this idea. You had mentioned the USDC, and you're like having the USDC, right? Is a risk management from the standpoint, like shit can go bananas, but then you have that stability there. And I've had this idea, I've told this to GRC many times, where I think that stablecoins are going to potentially go away in the current iteration that we have in the marketplace, because it just doesn't make sense to me to have a stablecoin that is tied to a dying carcass. That dying carcass is the euro, the dollar, etc., etc. But when GRC was like, hey, I have USDC in my bag, at least some of it currently might change in the future all the time. Now, when you put that into context with Icosa, and we talked about like there's a floor underneath there. So what is the idea that's the essence? If you take the essence and you pull that out of what a stablecoin is, it's something with reduced volatility. Now, if you add a floor under something, what does that do? Reduces the volatility. If there's some type of ceiling above it for arbitrage, that's some type of what does that do? Is effectively removing volatility. Icosa, first time probably anybody's ever said this, could potentially be the stable coin of the future, where it is there's a range where it could range, but up here there's arbitrage opportunities, and down here there's the contract rate that's going to be paying out. So there's a range that's going to sit between. Now, would you rather have Circle, right, a company that's already sanctioning people because of what the U.S. did related to tornado cash, or they're stealing your money, or something like that where, and we're super early, I'm not saying you should do this, but I think this type of stable coin is going to be the future, not USDC coins, Tether coins.
You just think it's going to be a coin with a floor that holds up on something legitimate rather than, because people are going to say, well, this is more legitimate. You can tell me that's more legitimate. Like at some point, Sam's basically saying the USDC in my bag is becoming less legitimate because there's other options that hold floor up better than dying against the dollar. And that's
having somebody with a gun that can shoot you whenever they want, like they can steal your money.
Well, yeah, of course, that's just always been the case. So like, this is the first time where, like, I mean, other than T-Cash, but let's be honest, I never got into it yet. I was playing with the testnet though. I'll tell you, I was getting close to using Tornado Cash too. I was starting to work over to that world right before it went. So God, thank you.
What do you guys think about? We didn't talk about it once. I haven't seen one chat about it yet in any of the things that I've seen so far. I'm sure somebody brought it up, but we're excited about the now and focusing on the myopic, that thing that's right in front of us. But what do we have on the horizon? Pulse. What are you going to get? A copy of all your Hedron and Icosa on Pulse. Like, that's not even talked about. And it's going to be a big piece of like what's going forward, right? Because let's talk about that a little bit. What do you guys think about that? That's not something a lot of people talk about, but it's massive. You can literally double your bags.
It's going to be wild. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting to see where the majority of the trading volume happens, for sure, with these tokens. Like, we'll probably see thicker liquidity books. I don't know. The answer is I just don't know. All I know is I'm stoked to see what's going to go down. I mean, with the copying of everything and, being able to bridge through and provide liquidity, especially on PulseX and the one-sided staking and burning mechanisms, and it just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, this kind of environment is what I was always looking for when I first found my first couple cryptos, like Bitcoin, LTC. Like, I was looking for, like, eventually you would have good enough developers come along, good enough geniuses who can really program this stuff to do whatever it needs to be programmed to do, right? And so we just had to sit through years and years and years of people just pumping these crap coins that have no utility, that are completely manipulated, that rug pull, that do all this other jargon. And unfortunately, it pushed a lot of people out. But long story short, I'm just stoked to see what happens. And just like what I do with everything is I wait and watch the market in action and then just kind of update my worldview as that happens. That's all I can really say.
Can I ask both you guys questions? So
then we're done.
Just
we're done. I have 15 minutes.
Something that's probably slightly controversial. Something that's probably slightly controversial, but I see mentally there's potentially more room for growth in Hedron in the near term than there is Hex. Like, that's going to be a controversial statement for a lot of people to grasp.
Do you mean price appreciation speed?
Yes.
I agree.
Gifford, your thoughts?
I mean, again, with the liquidity pairing and the tide to the T-share, you're going to see this battle in one direction going up. And so you can't lose either way.
Liquidity, which one can a random ass dude push the price up easier? Dude, I'm going to be honest for a second, guys. Hex is my favorite cryptocurrency. Okay. Take it easy. But Hedron Icosa are just Hex with less negative externalities. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to be honest with everyone, in my opinion. If you think all these systems are going to work, all you're doing is tying an asset and saying, well, it's easier to push it up and it has these positive externalities. I'm not a fucking rocket scientist, guys, but not a lot of people like smart contract risk for 15 years at a time. And it's just the way it is. Like, and I know obviously your staking ladders don't have to look like that. Mine are more 4 heavy, and then like I have like 7, and so whatever, everyone's is different. But I'm saying, guys, these are products for different reasons. but they do the same. They push the same product up. You know, this is just Hex is just like Bitcoin. Richard always says Bitcoin is just Hex, or Hex is just Bitcoin with less negative externalities, so the price moves up faster. And he would say, I mean, he was not going to say random stuff about other coins, but like this system that they created is just Hex, but it makes the price move up faster.
Yeah, and if I could just semi-roughly quote Alex, and if I butcher it, I'm sorry, Alex, if you're watching. Sorry. But he literally said he would never design something that wouldn't like pump Hex. Like he would not design it if the whole goal of this is to pump the Hex ecosystem and to pump the T-share theory, right? Then that's exactly what he's going to do. Like, and it's all built in there. And if you ever get stuck in the point where you're like, oh, what if Hedron just runs and just kills the price of Hex? Just step back and look at the bigger picture of how Hedron is built. It is all like the Hedron. It's a long story, and I know you're trying to wrap up, but
hey,
it's got to pump each other.
I'll sum it up for you. People, there was one person in the comments. This is the last segment, and I'm just going to transition out, guys. It's been so fucking great. This last 2 days has been fucking great. But there's people right now that are saying, buy the news, sell the rumor, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what you're talking about. This stuff can get moved fucking quick, and their buy wall is crumbling. So if this thing goes into price discovery, I'm going to fucking tag all those tweets. I know it. Tangent, I see you, you little cherry picker. You little cherry picker. I'm watching. But anyway, people are selling their Hedron right now. Okay, so the price might be going down. They're buying Hex. They're staking at 555 to HSI it and put it in Dicosa. Right at this moment, they're doing that. Okay, that's what literally goes on. So if you think about the literal actions of people, they're actually selling that fat fucking stack that they just got off Hedron, and they're buying Hex and they're staking at 5555. And then they're minting Icosa and staking it for more Hedron.
And then that is driving up the price of Hedron, because if anybody uses Icosa, then a shitload more Hedron gets burned.
Bro, I was just joking, Tangent, bro. Dude, shitcoin fork? That's a cool name. No, I saw your tweet earlier where you were like, buy the rumor, sell the news. I was like, do your homework, Tangent. Come on, don't play with me. Come on. Tangent's probably still on the sell pressure. Oh, there's too much sell pressure on Hedron. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm joking. I'm always going to come at you. I'm always going to come at you.
Coming at you because he appreciates
No,
it.
that maxi play will live down in infamy. That's why. Because what did it drop to 1.8? I've just been right the whole time. Guys, let's get off here. I'm totally joking. I love Hex Tangent. I love Giffy, and I love Sam. And I'm just a crazy motherfucker who's not been sleeping enough the last couple of days, but for good reason, guys. We're ending it. Guys, I'm going live with Funding Jim in 10 minutes. He's in Miami right now. He's been with Richard partying for weeks the whole entire weekend, guys. He wants to come on live and chit chat. I don't know if he's still in Miami. I don't know if he's still with Richard. Who the knows what the fuck's going on? He could be sitting right next to Richard over there. I have no idea. But who knows? I just want to talk to Funny Jim about partying with Richard.
I wanted to come on real quick, just to share something real quick. Last night, with all the energy and excitement, I meant to play something as a thank you and like completely pressed the wrong button. So I want to play it for you guys now. Because if not, who knows when I'll get the chance to do it.
This will take us out of here. So
can we just outro it?
Yeah, we can outro with this. So
hey guys, great to see everyone. The future's so bright. It's redonkulous. It's going to be great, guys. Everyone keep your heads on straight. That's the most important thing. Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you.